I wanted to ask you about a backlash in Victoria with news that the Shrine of Remembrance will allow cocktail parties and other events to be held on the site. Now, as you could imagine, veterans are pretty angry, saying it's meant to be a sacred site. James, the operators of the memorial argue that cocktail events will bring more people on site and expose them to the memorial. Your thoughts?
Well, of course, a centre of this type is going to come with operational costs, and Victoria have said that they're only doing this because it ran at a $4 million loss over the last 12 months. Well, I'm sorry, it is a place of remembrance, and some things will never run at a profit. Here we have a Victorian government that are very happy to shut down places of significance when it comes to Aboriginals. Take, for example, the Grampians. You're not allowed to climb in certain parts of the Grampians now because it's a place of significance for one type of people in this country. And yet here they are saying, no, we don't give a stuff about the significance to veterans here. Look, if the Victorian government are so in dire straits financially, which we know they are, the only thing that should be opened in that state are new gas fields. Stop with the prohibition on gas. If you're that desperate for cash and you want to keep the Remembrance Centre open and remember it for what its true purpose is, open the gas fields, bring in the royalties, which are probably worth a couple of $1 billion a year, and it'll pay for such things as the Shrine to remain exactly that, a place of remembrance for those fallen soldiers.
Yeah, Louise, in a time when those things that bind us together seem increasingly rare, you'd think the Victorian government could at least keep this place sacred and honour veterans who have loved our country enough to lay down their lives for it without commercialising it.
Absolutely. Look, I've spoken to people in Melbourne about this today and they're just disgusted that a sacred site, which is like a church, I mean, it'd be like sort of saying yes to a rave at the Vatican, which would never happen. I mean, there's plenty of places where cocktail parties and events and weddings can be held elsewhere in Melbourne, which are beautiful and illustrious, that we don't need to pollute a very sacred site, the purpose of which, as we're discussing here, is all about remembering our war dead and respecting our living veterans. And it seems like governments, either at a state level or federal level, just constantly niggling away, undermining our veterans. It's just disgusting.
Louise, I sure hope the Pontiff isn't watching our program. A rave at the Vatican. Don't give them ideas, Louise. It's not good. Hey, before we go, some good news. There's reports today the family that controls the James Bond movie franchise is refusing to give Amazon the go-ahead to make another film due to serious disagreements over the direction of the series, including a proposal for a TV spin-off centred on a female 007. James, I say good on that family. We don't need a female James Bond, do we?
No, exactly right. We saw how treacherous Ghostbusters 2 went when they went with a full female cast of Ghostbusters. It was a flop at the cinema box. This would be a flop. We've seen Bluey move away from the ABC because they wanted Bluey to go more woke, and they stood, on their morals. And I think good on these people that have got the courage to say, no, we're not going broke because at the end, or we're not going woke, because at the end of the day, we will go broke. And that franchise has lasted decades. I don't want to see it destroyed just for the sake of just going down the path of a 007 female Bond.
Well, Louise, a violent, womanising James Bond, does he still have a place in our modern world, or are our modern sensibilities just too sensitive for James Bond these days?
Well, the reason the Bond franchise has prevailed is because he's an anti-hero. His flaws are his charisma. Men want to be with him, women want to be with him, and men do as well. But he's just this character that we all love, and we know he's a fantasy figure as well. That he's not being held up as some kind of role model, sort of Victorian father of three who's got to be loyal to his wife. He's got charisma, he's got appeal, and well done to Barbara Broccoli for really maintaining a vice-like control over 007. It's just fabulous.